As we age, our bodies change, and so do our minds. But while some signs are obvious, others whisper quietly in the background, waiting to be noticed. Have you ever forgotten where you placed your keys, or found it harder to follow simple instructions? Sometimes these moments are more than just senior moments. In today's video on Senior Happy Living, we're exploring 8 subtle but powerful signals your brain may be sending, warning that it needs support. Early recognition could make all the difference for you or a loved one. Forgetting recent events, a small sign, but a big concern for the elderly. As people enter their 60s and beyond, many begin to notice that they're forgetting things that just happened. Some may find themselves searching everywhere for their keys while they're holding them. Others may ask, "Have I eaten yet?" even though they just finished a meal. These situations are often dismissed as normal aging, but in reality, they may be early signs of memory decline or cognitive impairment. In the early stages, forgetfulness usually affects short-term memory, not remembering recent conversations, forgetting whether they've taken medication, or walking into a room and forgetting why. Unlike forgetting past events, older adults with memory issues often remember distant memories clearly, but struggle with what just occurred. This affects their ability to handle everyday tasks and decisions. Even more concerning, if this condition is not identified and addressed early, it can progress to more serious cognitive disorders such as Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia. In such cases, forgetfulness may grow from simply skipping meals to getting lost in familiar places, forgetting loved ones' faces, or even being unable to take care of oneself. However, not everyone who forgets things is necessarily ill. In many cases, forgetfulness may be due to lack of sleep, stress, depression, or nutrient deficiencies, such as vitamin B12 or omega-3. That's why it's important to distinguish between age-related forgetfulness and pathological memory decline. To prevent or slow memory loss, seniors should maintain a well-balanced diet rich in brain-boosting nutrients. Stay physically active with light exercises like walking or Tai Chi. Keep a positive mindset and engage in social activities and conversations. Stimulate the brain by reading, writing, and playing memory games. Lastly, if you notice that your parents, grandparents, or elderly relatives are repeatedly forgetting recent events, don't ignore it. Take them for a checkup so that any issues can be diagnosed and addressed early. A little attention today could mean preserving their memory for many years to come. Repeating questions frequently, a warning sign of memory decline in seniors. One of the most common and noticeable signs of memory decline in older adults is the repetition of the same question within a short period of time, even after receiving an answer. For example, they may ask, "What time is it? What day is it today?" Or "Have we eaten yet?" And then just a few minutes later, they ask the exact same question again, as if the earlier conversation never happened. This behavior is typically due to a weakening of short-term memory, meaning the brain struggles to retain new information for even a few minutes. Meanwhile, long-term memory, such as past events from years ago, often remains intact. As a result, family members may be misled, thinking Grandpa still remembers things well, not realizing that the real issue lies in the ability to remember recent events. Repeated questioning can create challenges in everyday communication and may also impact the emotional well-being of both the senior and their caregivers. Older adults may feel confused, anxious, or embarrassed when reminded that they've already asked something. At the same time, caregivers may feel frustrated or impatient if they don't understand what's really going on. This behavior should not be taken lightly, as it may be an early sign of conditions like mild cognitive impairment, MCI, or dementia. Without timely support and intervention, the situation can worsen, gradually leading to a loss of reasoning, communication skills, and even the ability to perform basic self-care. Tips for supporting a loved one who repeats questions: respond gently and patiently, avoid expressing annoyance or frustration, use visual aids like sticky notes, a desk calendar, or a whiteboard to display frequently asked information. Encourage participation in memory-boosting activities such as reading, storytelling, or playing cognitive games. Monitor the frequency of repeated questions. If it increases significantly, consult a neurologist or geriatric specialist for assessment. Don't dismiss repeated questions as simply a part of aging. They may be early signals from the brain that it needs care and attention. By being patient and proactive, you can make a meaningful difference in your loved one's cognitive health and quality of life. Difficulty planning or following instructions when the brain starts to lose its usual sharpness. In their later years, many older adults begin to feel confused when performing tasks that were once second nature. Cooking a familiar dish, following a medication schedule, or preparing for a simple family outing. They may forget the next step, mix up the order of actions, or miss important details during the process. This is one of the common signs of cognitive decline, and it is often overlooked or mistaken for temporary distraction. The ability to plan and follow instructions relies heavily on brain regions responsible for logical thinking, short-term memory, and organizational skills. As these areas begin to weaken due to aging or neurological disorders, older individuals may find it increasingly difficult to carry out multi-step tasks or activities that require attention to detail. For example, when cooking, they might forget a main ingredient, leave food on the stove too long, or be unsure whether they've already seasoned the dish. When paying bills, they might confuse different charges or completely forget whether they've already paid. When visiting the doctor, they may not follow instructions correctly, even if those instructions were clearly explained. In many cases, older adults start to feel insecure or avoid tasks that require planning or coordination because they fear making mistakes or being criticized. Over time, this avoidance can reduce their independence and quality of life and may serve as an early indicator of more serious conditions like dementia. To support an elderly loved one facing difficulties in planning, it's important to simplify complex tasks into clear, manageable steps. Use written notes or visual aids instead of only verbal instructions. Encourage regular brain exercises such as journaling, reading, or playing cognitive games. If these difficulties persist or worsen, it is advisable to seek a medical evaluation from a neurologist or geriatric psychologist. Don't wait until your loved one becomes unable to manage daily activities before taking action. Even small struggles with tasks that used to be simple can be early warning signs that the brain is in distress and needs support. Difficulty handling numbers, a quiet signal of cognitive decline. As people age, many begin to feel less sharp with numbers than they once were. Tasks that used to be simple, calculating grocery totals, dividing medication into daily doses, or remembering the date and time of appointments, suddenly become confusing. This isn't just a normal part of aging. It can be an early warning sign of memory loss and declining cognitive function. Some common signs include confusion when handling money, giving or receiving the wrong change, struggling with simple math, forgetting how to use calculators or phones, and failing to correctly divide or schedule daily medication doses. These difficulties can gradually interfere with everyday life, especially when related to financial decisions or health management. The ability to process numbers is not only about math skills. It relies on areas of the brain responsible for logical thinking and short-term memory. When those areas are affected, older adults may feel overwhelmed or anxious when faced with even basic numerical tasks. This can lead to avoidance behaviors, loss of confidence, and even isolation from social activities involving money, schedules, or planning. What's more concerning is that without early detection, these struggles can result in serious consequences. Seniors may lose control over their finances, become more vulnerable to scams, or misuse medication, which can pose health risks. Support strategies should begin with simplifying tasks. This includes using tools like calculators, pill organizers, calendars, or alarms. Written notes in plain language are often more helpful than symbols or complex numbers. Encouraging brain-stimulating activities such as puzzle games or simple math exercises can also help maintain cognitive agility. It is important to observe whether these difficulties are increasing over time. If the challenges become more frequent or start to interfere with daily life, a medical consultation with a neurologist or cognitive specialist is highly recommended. While difficulty with numbers may seem like a small issue at first, it can actually reflect much deeper changes in brain function. Paying attention to these signs early can help preserve a senior's independence, confidence, and safety. Difficulty with spatial and temporal orientation, when memory no longer guides the way. A common but often overlooked sign of cognitive decline in older adults is confusion about time and place. They may forget what day it is, be unsure of where they are, or not remember why they went somewhere. In some cases, they might even become lost in familiar places, such as a street near their home or a market they've visited regularly for years. The ability to stay oriented in space and time depends on multiple brain areas, especially those responsible for memory, visual processing, and spatial awareness. When these areas are affected by aging or neurological conditions, seniors may lose their sense of direction, feel disoriented in everyday environments, or have difficulty understanding the passage of time. Signs may include forgetting the day of the week, month, or year, being unable to tell the time of day, feeling confused about their current location, even if it's familiar, or forgetting the route between two well-known places. They may also become distressed or disoriented when routines change, such as visiting a new location or adjusting to a different daily schedule. These issues not only cause anxiety, but can pose significant safety risks, especially for seniors who live alone or venture outside without assistance. A simple walk around the neighborhood could turn into a dangerous situation if the person becomes lost or unable to ask for help. To support an elderly loved one experiencing orientation difficulties, it's helpful to keep large, easy-to-read calendars and clocks visible in the home, clearly mark important dates, and gently remind them about daily plans and routines. Avoid having them go alone to unfamiliar places, and consider using GPS-enabled safety devices or ID tags. Frequent visits to familiar places can also reinforce memory and build confidence. Difficulty with orientation is more than just being a little forgetful. It may be an early sign that the brain is struggling to keep up, and timely support can make a crucial difference. By recognizing the issue early and offering consistent help, families can extend their loved one's sense of independence, safety, and quality of life well into their senior years. Difficulty understanding visual images and spatial relationships when the world becomes blurred in the mind's eye. As people age, many begin to experience increasing difficulty in interpreting and processing visual information. This is not merely a matter of declining eyesight. It often reflects a deeper issue: the brain's diminished ability to understand what the eyes are seeing. This subtle but significant sign of cognitive decline can greatly affect mobility, safety, and daily functioning. Older adults may start to struggle with reading as they find it harder to distinguish contrast or depth. They might misjudge distances, leading to frequent tripping or bumping into furniture. They may become confused by images, failing to recognize familiar faces, or not understanding what a photo or picture represents. Tasks that rely on visual spatial awareness, such as walking upstairs, crossing the street, or driving, become increasingly difficult and even dangerous. The root of the problem often lies not in the eyes, but in the brain. Areas responsible for visual processing and spatial orientation may be deteriorating. As a result, the world may begin to feel unfamiliar, distorted, or even threatening, making it hard for the person to navigate and interact with their surroundings confidently. If this issue goes unnoticed, it can lead to serious consequences: increased risk of falls, disorientation in public spaces, or a gradual withdrawal from movement and exploration due to fear or confusion. To support someone experiencing these changes, it helps to ensure their living environment is well lit and free of glare. Use high-contrast objects that are easier to distinguish, such as light-colored dishes on dark tablecloths or bold signage. Keep furniture in consistent locations to help with memory and orientation. Gentle brain exercises like puzzles, matching games, or visual recognition activities can also stimulate and support visual cognitive functions. It's essential not to confuse vision problems with visual cognitive decline. A person may still see clearly with their eyes, yet struggle to make sense of what they're seeing due to changes in how the brain processes information. Recognizing this issue early gives families the opportunity to intervene, adjust the environment, and help maintain their loved ones' independent safety and quality of life as they age. Difficulty speaking or writing. When words start to fade, one of the most noticeable signs of cognitive decline in older adults is increasing difficulty with language. A person who once spoke fluently or wrote clearly may now struggle to find the right words, pause mid-sentence, or write in ways that lack coherence. This isn't just occasional forgetfulness, it often reflects a decline in the brain's ability to organize and express thoughts. Seniors may forget familiar words and substitute them with incorrect or vague alternatives, for example, calling a toothbrush a thingy. They might pause frequently during conversation because they've lost track of what they were saying, repeat the same word or phrase multiple times, or use unrelated words. In writing, sentences may become incomplete, confusing, or lacking logical flow. Language is a complex cognitive function that involves memory, organization of thoughts, and the ability to express ideas clearly. When areas of the brain responsible for language are affected, older adults may find it hard to translate their thoughts into words, whether spoken or written. This difficulty doesn't just impact communication, it can lead to embarrassment, loss of self-confidence, social withdrawal, and even misunderstandings with family members or caregivers. Some elderly people may begin to speak less because they're afraid of saying the wrong thing or being corrected. Supporting someone with declining language skills requires patience and encouragement. It helps to listen without interrupting or criticizing. Gently repeat or suggest the word they may be searching for. Encourage simple daily writing activities like journaling or making to-do lists, and engage in regular, relaxed conversations focused on familiar topics or shared memories. Declining speaking and writing abilities can be early symptoms of more serious cognitive changes, and they often serve as a barrier to meaningful connection. By recognizing the signs early and offering compassionate support, families can help their loved ones maintain their voice and their connection to the world around them for as long as possible. Misplacing items and being unable to retrace steps. When memory makes us doubt ourselves. A common yet often overlooked sign of cognitive decline in older adults is frequently misplacing items and being unable to remember where they put them. Everyone forgets where they left their keys or phone from time to time. However, when this happens repeatedly and the person cannot mentally retrace their actions, it may be a warning sign of memory impairment. Seniors may leave their wallet in the dish cabinet, put their phone in the refrigerator, or place the TV remote in a lunchbox. They might forget they've stored something and become anxious, believing it has been stolen. They may be unable to recall the last step they took, even if it happened just minutes ago, or continuously search for the same item without being able to rewind their thoughts to figure out where it might be. This kind of forgetfulness disrupts daily routines and can lead to a loss of confidence, anxiety, and irritability. Some seniors may begin to accuse others of moving or taking their belongings, creating unnecessary tension and misunderstandings within the family. When short-term memory begins to fail, the brain doesn't fully register small actions like putting keys on the table, making it impossible to recall them later. There are several ways to offer support. Encourage them to keep essential items in designated spots, such as a basket by the door for keys. Use visual reminders like labels or simple illustrations to reinforce memory. Keep the living space tidy and organized to make items easier to find. Avoid scolding or blaming when something goes missing. Help them search patiently and with empathy. These small adjustments can make a significant difference in restoring a sense of order, safety, and emotional balance in the lives of seniors struggling with this subtle but impactful symptom of cognitive decline. Frequently misplacing items and being unable to retrace one's steps is more than just typical forgetfulness. It's a sign that memory function is beginning to deteriorate. If this behavior becomes more frequent, it's a good idea to seek medical advice and undergo cognitive assessments. Early detection not only helps manage the symptoms, but also provides opportunities to put strategies in place that support greater independence, peace of mind, and daily functioning for both the elderly individual and their loved ones. Decreased judgment or decision-making when reasoning becomes unclear. One of the more subtle yet critical changes in aging adults is a decline in the ability to make sound decisions. Seniors may become less sharp in reasoning, make poor or impulsive choices, or take unusually long to decide even on simple matters. Common examples include wearing clothes that are inappropriate for the weather, such as a wool sweater on a hot summer day, spending money recklessly, falling for phone scams, or trusting unreliable advertisements, failing to recognize danger such as crossing the street without looking, struggling with everyday choices like deciding what to eat or where to go first. This change goes beyond simply slowing down with age. It often signals that the parts of the brain responsible for evaluating and processing information are being affected. When logical thinking, weighing options, and comparing outcomes become impaired, seniors may act based more on emotion or confusion than sound judgment. The consequences can be more serious than they appear. A single poor decision, such as taking the wrong medication, signing questionable documents, or giving money to a stranger, can have lasting negative effects on health, safety, or finances. To support your loved one, consider the following. Avoid leaving them to make complex decisions alone. Offer clear and limited options, e.g., would you prefer rice or noodles for lunch, instead of what do you want to eat? Monitor their transactions and paperwork closely. Talk through decisions together, helping them reason things out and rebuild confidence in their judgment. Decreased judgment is a dangerous sign that is often overlooked, especially when the person seems mentally alert in other ways. But if you start noticing changes in how they think, react, or handle everyday decisions, it may be a red flag that their memory and cognitive processing are in decline. Recognizing and addressing this early allows families to prevent risky situations, provide better guidance, and help maintain the person's sense of security and autonomy in daily life. It's never too early to care for mental health, especially when it's someone we love who's growing older. We hope today's video helped you better understand the silent warning signs of cognitive decline and how to spot them before it's too late. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to Senior Happy Living, and leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. And be sure to turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos where we share knowledge, compassion, and tips for healthy, joyful aging. Senior Happy Living, because aging should be peaceful, joyful, and full of life.